Has Eos suddenly become the hulking monstrous quote-unquote real healer again in Endwalker that does all of the work as I sit back and watch Netflix? I know I'm not the only one asking this question at this point for Endwalker. The fact is, seeing a ton of fairy ability potencies jump up and down, I want to know, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, what was actually buffed? What was actually nerfed? So for today's video, I'm letting you absolutely have it. And I'm covering what is a healing potency in terms of real numbers from today versus an Endwalker. Next up is going to be how strong is Embrace? What about Whispering Dawn, Fey Union, and Fey Blessing? I'm wanting to know just how much I can rely on Eos to resolve all of my healing woes. I don't want to do hand waving anymore. I want to use real numbers and some basic statistical analysis, mostly a ton of not quite box plot charts or like candlelight charts or something, to determine what we can expect from our fairy companion and all of the changes in Endwalker. The Google Sheet with all of my analysis and the raw data and all of that is going to be in the description, as I know that there are a lot of data fiends out there, and so I'm just going to let you have it. First off, let's formulate a baseline understanding of what exactly a single potency of healing is equal to. So one healing potency defined here is for the characters that I observed in the footage used in the media tour and myself. Because honestly, you need to have the exact same gear, exact same secondary stats, you know what I mean. If you're having like ever-changing gear, what one potency will mean will constantly be shifting. To determine what a single healing potency is in current day, I spammed physic on myself like 40 times. Riveting, I know. Putting this into a makeshift box plot, we determined that the median for 400 potency physic was 23,074. So dividing that number by 400 resulted in one potency of healing in current day equal to 57.685 healing. Now, to avoid bloating this video, which the data is totally accessible for all of y'all, I did a ton of Nancy Drew investigative work on the footage that I observed from Mr. Happy's video, and including other videos of theirs, just because they were talking about healers too, and determined that the median of Endwalker healing potency was 16.907. Healing per potency, that is. Now let's talk about Embrace, which is by far one of the most powerful assets of a scholar. Even looking at current day data, like Embrace is like absolutely killing it. It is definitely like success by 1,000 cuts. It's like death by 1,000 cuts, but in reverse. Embrace by itself is not impressive in current day, but when you look at it over the course of a fight, oh boy, is that doing a lot. I know myself and many others want to know, okay, what does this look like in Endwalker, because this could potentially be even more insane. What, you thought I played a scholar to heal? Go Eos. Eos, do something. I got DPS to do. So the data collected for Embrace today is that Embrace had a median value of 5,865. Going into Endwalker, however, we can see that there is a median of 2,886.5. Talking about this data, one thing worth mentioning though, which makes me glad I'm using the median here rather than an average, is that from the blocks plot that the maximum value seems oddly skewed, which in Endwalker hits makes me want to do a little bit more investigative work and data collection. But I'm getting off track again. We'll pass that bridge in like 2 weeks time. So checking out these values in the comparison, we can see that there's roughly a 49% difference, with the maximum, which I mentioned, is oddly skewed at 53% though. So with all the rest being 49%, I'm going with my gut and the data, of course, and assuming that it's going to be 49% difference. Now I also want to check into how much healing Embrace was doing compared to the maximum health pool size, and I used a current day value of 122,000 with 722. Oh, that's probably the worst way I could say that. 122,722. That was current day max HP that I'm using. And then Endwalker maximum HP I took right from the footage, which was 40,742 maximum HP to determine this value. Comparing what Embrace was putting out with maximum HP showed that Embrace today heals for 4.779% of max HP, and in Endwalker we're looking at 7.0848% of max HP. The difference between them was roughly a 33% increase in throughput, or another way to put it would be every 3 casts of Embrace you are getting a full 4th Embrace now in Endwalker above and beyond. But I always think that it's important to put this with context, is remember that with Embrace that it's consistently being spammed out at no cost to the scholar in perpetuity when is required, and automatically shifts targets with, so those little fractional points of difference really will add up with large quantities of Embrace cast, which because it's being cast in perpetuity, no cost, blah blah blah, it will actually hit those high values. So now let's talk large numbers, which especially with Embrace is a huge factor, and so I did a size variation to show 1, 5, 10, 40, 50, 100, or even 200 casts of Embrace, what the difference is between current day Embrace or Endwalker Embrace. Obviously guys, the difference is always going to be 30 33%, but I think that this helps people like visually understand, oh, that's actually significant. So to put it into perspective of just how much more raw throughput you will get is that in about 45 casts of Embrace, you will have enough additional Embrace power in Endwalker to fully heal a party member from 0 to max. The fact is, we know that that isn't necessarily Embrace's strongest suit is raw throughput, and that it's mostly like amazing for chip damage resolution, and going into Endwalker, this is going to only be more pronounced. If we look at the current numbers from Embrace from top speed kill E12S Savage race, we can see that the average HPS was around 1.2k, max at 2k. Multiplying those numbers out by 1.33 gave us some insight, and honestly, Embrace is looking really fantastic at that numbers. Going forward in this video, I'm going to be slamming the data down with a little less structure than I put in Embrace, but it follows the exact same pattern as Embrace, and I'm just trying to make sure I don't bloat the video. Second on the list is Whispering Dawn, and oh boy. So we can see from current day to Endwalker that there is a significant gouge in potency from 120 potency per tick to 80, so roughly 21 divided by 3 equals 7 ticks, and 120 potency is going to be 840 potency of healing today, or 560 in Endwalker. Ouch. For Whispering Dawn in present day, we're looking at a median of 4,869. In Endwalker, the median is 1,293. This means that there is a roughly difference from 22 to 27% depending on which quartile or median that you're looking at from the data. But if we compare this to maximum HP pools, in current day, we're looking at 3.968% per tick of Whispering Dawn, down to 3.1736 in Endwalker. Looking at these numbers in comparison though, this results in a difference of 20%, and so Whispering Dawn is actually down 80% of its current day strength, which is honestly a good thing, and one of the reasons why I even did this video in the first place is from the tooltips we'd have expected a stronger nerf, down 33% rather than only 20%, so crisis averted. Kind of, sort of. It's better than it could have been if I'm frank. Whispering Dawn per tick, we can look at larger sample sizes, and in particular I'm going to highlight 7 ticks here since that is the number of Whispering Dawn ticks that you will get per Whispering Dawn cast, which you get once every minute. Current day, 1 Whispering Dawn will heal roughly 28% of a squishy HP. In Endwalker, this is down to 22.2%, so a 5.55% health pool difference. From what you can see is that, say, in 10-minute fight with 10 Whispering Dawns being spammed, that this difference goes all the way up to a 55.57% health pool healing difference, which is definitely going to be noticeable. Taking current Savage numbers, we can see roughly the 2k average or 3k maximum Whispering Dawn HPS gets knocked down to a 1.6k average or a 2.3k maximum. Ow. Next up is Fey Union, which is going to be super controversial because a lot of scholars already have considered taking it off of their hotbars, and in Endwalker, Fey Union is the only skill that we get to spend Fey Gauge on. For the record, I am not one of those scholars that recommends it, but in Endwalker, Fey Union is the only skill that we can spend Fey Gauge on, and with the 1.5 second cast time weave window, I personally am seeing it being used a whole lot more. From the tooltips, it got gutted, down from 400 to 300 potency. Let's go through the data. Current day, the median is 16,400, and in Endwalker, the median is 4,795. Comparing them gave a clear picture across the median and the quartiles of 29% difference, or rather of Fey Union in Endwalker healing for 29% of the value. Why am I messing it up on the last one I'm doing in this video? But comparing it to the maximum HP pool size, it was previously healing at 13.36% per tick of your HP. Down in Endwalker, we're looking at 11.769%. 69. Nice. Better known as a 12% nerf, down to 88% of its current strength. This isn't really what is concerning me here. I want to take it a step further and say how strong is Fey Union now compared to Embrace? And it gets ugly here, and this will be a huge point of criticism against Fey Union in Endwalker. I can definitely see it already happening, but I'm going to keep it short here. Today, Embrace only does about 35% of the healing of Fey Union. In Endwalker, Embrace has shot up to now doing 60% of the strength of a single Fey Union tick. Remember, Fey Union, you get like 3 ticks of Fey Union per minute. Embrace is always free and always has been. In simpler terms, is Fey Union today is roughly equal to 3 Embrace casts, and in Endwalker it's under 2, meaning that Fey Union is intensely, and I mean intensely, less impactful of a skill to use. And in the great words of The Simpsons, stop, he's already dead. In an effort to keep this video beneath 10 minutes, I'm gonna go over Fey Blessing at lightning speed. Basically, it was buffed to 12.6% HP of the party. It used to be 11.3, so it did result in a net buff. Let me know if you guys really want me to do a second follow-up video, but I know y'all like it shorter, so done this fat here. Now that does it for this video. What really are your thoughts? I'm curious what everyone else is thinking. For me, I think that Eos is going to be very, very strong going into Endwalker. I'm not happy about the nerfs, and I think Fey Union needs to look at, but I'm really overall happy. Yeah, let me know what you think. Hope to catch you next one. Stay safe.